What's up, guys, and welcome back to a conversation with John. We are finishing our review of All Her Fault with episode 8, and now we're gonna find out whose fault it actually really is. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so episode 8, we ended up episode 7 with Josie busting in the house while everybody was in the living room arguing with a gun, and she's like, "Well, you have my son. Like, y'all need to give me my son. Y'all got my son," and they all looking at her like she crazy because what? Um, and so they telling her like, put the gun down. Like, you ain't got to do this. Put the gun down. Put the gun down. Now Colin decides that he wants to be Captain Save a Ho and runs up on Josie, and she accidentally shoots him. And so she starts freaking out. Everybody's freaking out because she just done shot his ass. And so Leah's like, we gotta call the police, we gotta call 911, we gotta call the ambulance. And so she tells Leah, Josie does tell Leah to go outside and call the police so that they can get and open the gate so that they can get in. Uh Same time, Milo, they have a baby monitor in the living room, and he starts calling out for Marissa. And so Marissa's like, we Milo can't see any of this. And Josie's like, yes, he can't see any of this. And so they instruct Brian to go upstairs to sit with Milo. And so downstairs we you just have Josie, Colin. Well, Colin is shot. He ain't going no damn where. Peter and Marissa. So Josie then starts asking, like, is he breathing? Is he breathing? And Peter checks him, like, no, he's not breathing. Lord, Colin that went home to be with the Lord. He is good and dead. So Marissa is like, well, who are you? And she's like, well, I'm Josephine Murphy. And Marissa's like, I thought you were supposed to be dead. And she was like, well, I was supposed to be dead. And she's like, Carrie, aka Josie, is like, you need to keep Peter away from Milo. He's very dangerous, and you don't know what he did before the ambulance came that night. And she's like, well, what are you talking about? What he did before the ambulance came that night? And she was like, well, if I tell you, you're not going to believe me. So you need to hear this. So she pulls out a recorder out of her pocket for her to hear. And Peter bum rushes her and shoots her. And so then Peter starts trying to gaslight Marissa, like she didn't see what she just saw. She was like, you shot her, you shot her. He's like, no, I didn't, no, I didn't. She was gonna shoot me, and the gun ended up going off. She's like, no, you shot her. And so she then starts asking, like, Peter, what is she talking about? What happened? Because Marissa was unconscious during the wreck. And so Peter begins to tell her this is the night that they're leaving home, the hospital with baby Milo, and they get in a wreck. And so she was unconscious, and they get in the wreck, and the car that they got in the wreck with was Josie's car. They got in the wreck with her. And so Peter's like, well, I thought you were dead. And that's where she ended up getting the scar on her shoulder. I think that was in episode 1 when I noticed that scar on her shoulder, or 2, one of them, when she had the scar on her shoulder when she had originally met Jenny, when they were having the social in the bathroom. I always wondered where that scar came from. So that's what happened. That wreck that night, that is where that scar came from. And so Peter's like, that their baby was dead, and he switched the babies. He heard the other baby crying, and he switched the babies. The baby was crying, and he was scared and cold, and he didn't want to leave the baby there by itself. And it's just like, it's the same thing happened when Brian got hurt. You always just let shit go further than what it needs to go because you just don't know when to say anything. And so, yeah, the wreck happened, and he went in the car and got the baby because he assumed that Marissa was dead, and and he assumed that Marissa was dead. He heard the baby crying, and he went to go get the baby from the car. And Marissa was like, "You stole her child." And Peter was like, "Well, she was driving home alone from the hospital, and we could have given the baby a better life than she could have given the baby." And so then they start to hear sirens, and the police is coming. But it's also just like, Peter, like, I think that again, that was episode 2. So that was 4 days after they got out of the hospital, because I guess now it's making sense. Marissa was unconscious. He says that he thought that she was dead, and they had to stay in the hospital for observation for 4 days. So right after that, is when Marissa has started having trouble putting the baby to sleep, and Peter was no damn help to her at all. It was like, basically, bitch, this your child, figure it out. So you did all of this talking about we can give the child a better life, and you're not actively involved in helping her with the baby. Like, so what did you do all of this shit for? And so again, Peter's begging Marissa, like, you cannot tell anybody. You can't tell the police, or they're gonna take Milo from us. So then Detective Alcaraz and the other detective come, and they're talking to Peter and Marissa, and they start connecting all the dots for them, telling them how Kyle and the daddy were related, and Josie and all of it, how all of them was related. And so they start asking why Peter, like, why he never said anything about knowing Josie. No, they had told them about Josie, and he was like, well, oh yeah, the name sounds familiar because that we knew her from the night that we got in the wreck. And so they asked Peter, well, why you never saying anything? And here he go with his old lying ass. He of course started getting the line. He was like, well, I didn't know the name Carrie. Y'all told me the name Carrie, and so it didn't connect any dots. I wouldn't have known. And so Marissa is just sitting there. She ain't saying nothing through all of this. She just sitting there biting her nails, looking at Milo on the baby monitor. So the police leave, and she walks away. And so she pulls the recorder that Carrie had out of her pocket, and she starts listening. And on the recorder, she hears like Peter tussling with Josie daddy, and ends up killing him. And so now she knows everything that's going on. Peter done stole the baby. He done killed Josie daddy. And so she's upstairs with Milo, and then Peter ends up coming home and meets her on the stairs. And so she's like confronts him about it. It's like, well, basically, you went to go get Milo, and you put his ass in our fucking son in the fucking trunk of a car. And he was like, well, yeah, I just wanted to basically make sure he gets found or whatever. And he told her that he did all of that when she sent him out to go get upholstery cleaner. And that's when he put him in the trunk, and he covered his eyes so he wouldn't see who he was. And Marissa was like, you abandoned him. And Peter was like, well, no, I put him there so he would be found, just the gaslighting of it all. And he asked Marissa for the phone, and basically told her, like, well, you can't tell anybody, or we're going to lose Milo. So he's using the fact that she's afraid of losing Milo against her to keep her quiet. So then we go to the cops, and they trying to figure out, like, why Josie even went to the house. And it's impossible to prove that Peter killed her intentionally because she has gunshot residue on her hands. And it's just like, well, if she was going to go there to kill them, like, she would have never let Leah leave to go call the police for Colin. So it's like they trying to figure it out what's going on and put two and two together. And so next day, Leah comes over, and they're planning the funeral for Colin. And she's like, well, we're going to play classical music for him. They're going to have like the repast at his house. He loved classical music. Leah's like, it was stupid to her. She thought it was dumb, but that's what he would have liked. They're going to try to, his house is on the market, so that's going to be able to allow them to pay back all the debts that he owes to the firm for stealing from the firm and paying his bookie. So then we got Peter is talking to Marissa, and he lets her know that the police called and said that Josie was killed in self-defense, and basically that it's all over, and the case is closed. And so he tells Marissa and that, like, basically that things can go back to normal now. Now Marissa, because all of this is very stressful and all this shit that is going on, she's not ready for things to go, I guess, back to normal, or to send Milo back to school. But Milo is ready to go back to school. Peter's ready for him to go back to school, I guess, because he's tired of being a parent, staying at home watching his own child. The reason he did all of this shit for, he don't want to be a parent, really. So he ready for Milo to take his ass back to school. And Marissa's like, she's just not ready. And so Milo's sitting at the breakfast bar, and while they're talking, and he's trying to cut some paper, and Peter's like, well, let me help you. And Milo jumps and runs. And Peter's like, You need daddy for that. And Milo gets up and runs, and he's like, "You're not allowed to run away from me. You're mine." And then Marissa starts having flashbacks of Peter shooting Carrie because he said, "You're mine too," and then him also killing the daddy. I forget his name, but killing Josie daddy. And that's one thing that I think he did say that she wasn't, of course, there with a flashback, but in the flashback he did say that he's mine. So Marissa is like very scared at this point because Peter's fucking crazy. He done killed 2 people already, and she just don't know what to do. So she ends up going to Jenny and running it down to her, letting her know everything that's going on. And she's like, "Well, I do not want to stay married to this man. Like, Peter's unhinged and he's fucking crazy as hell." She don't know what he's capable of, and she don't want to stay married to him. But she also feels like she can't divorce him because knowing what he might do here, he might try to kill her. So she's like, "Well, what am I supposed to do?" So now this is day 22 of this case, and Detective Alcaraz, because he buried the evidence against the school's admission counselor, he was able to get his son into the school for the kids with the learning developments. And so as the counselors going over the application, there's a section on there about neurodivergency, and so he starts telling him more information about that as he's evaluating his son. And so it starts making bells and whistles goes off in Detective Alcaraz's head. And so this is the day of the funeral, and Peter thinks it's all roses and sunshine because Marissa's like, "Well, let's go back to normal." They just want everything to go back to normal, and they embrace or whatever, and they get ready for the funeral. Jenny takes Milo so that they can go to the funeral. And so Detective Alcaraz ends up reaching out to Josie's old guidance counselor, and he's asking her questions about Josie and whatnot. So she's like, "Well, yeah, she would mix up like shapes and colors and stuff a lot of the time. She had a lot of neurological issues, but her parents never got her checked out to get it to know she had it before for sure. And she had something called synesthesia, and it's basically inherited from parent to child. Like, you can't get it anywhere else. It's inherited from parent to child." So Detective Alcaraz is putting all 2 and 2 together because if Josie had synesthesia, he's noticed he made a lot of commentary about every time he was at their house, the way how well Milo was able to draw and color and all these different things, and the way that he I guess when he was comparing the comforters at the motel they were staying at to a chameleon. So that's all on his mind as he's trying to put 2 and 2 together about why Josie was even at these people's house. So here we go, the day of the funeral. Peter's being a fucking asshole. Peter sees that Brian is using his wheelchair, and he mad. And he's like, "Well, is this your way of getting back at me?" And Brian is like, "Well, no, I just want to be more and more independent." So after that interaction, then he starts fucking with Leah and telling her how he don't think that her and Colin should have been together to begin with. Like, it's like, this is not the right time. She's trying to grieve the loss of the man that she loved, and Peter's like, "Well, their relationship is what started all this to begin with. And that's the reason why we're in Colin's house wearing black, for that very reason." Just like, why, Peter? Like, the girl is grieving. You ain't have to come at her so hard in her time of grief with all of this fucking bullshit. So then Marissa comes, and she's downstairs, or Peter's downstairs or whatever, and they're in Colin's wine cellar, and so they end up talking or whatever, and Marissa starts kissing Peter. He's like, "Oh, where did that come from?" She's like, "I don't know." So she's starts kissing him, trying to play the supportive wife, but then Peter starts feeling the tickle in his throat, and he's like, "Well, did you have any soy?" Because apparently Peter has a soy allergy. And she's like, "Well, no, I mean, I guess I got distracted when I was getting my plate. Like, I don't think that I got anything." So Peter goes into his jacket to get his EpiPen, but the EpiPen is expired. It expired 3 years ago. But they keep an emergency kit in their car. So they have to go to the car to get his emergency kit rather. So Detective Alcaraz, while this is going on, is at the hospital talking to the paramedic who was there that night that the wreck happened. And he's just asking questions like, well, how do you even remember these people? And he's like, well, it's not every day that you have a wreck involving two newborns. And so through the course of him asking him questions, he reveals to Detective Alcaraz that Peter was the only one that was awake during, like, when the ambulance and stuff got there. And so Marissa is like, Leah calls the 911 and they're like, well, how far away is the ambulance? She's like, they're like 8 minutes away. And then Peter's like, it's like, tells Marissa, like, you always have the emergency kit in the car, but because it's not there. And Marissa is like, well, yeah, I do manage your allergies. And Peter looks at her and it kind of finally comes to a realization, like, damn, this bitch is about to kill me. I'm about to die. And Peter ends up dying, rightfully so, because he was a horrible ass human being. And Marissa had to put him down, I guess. What else was she supposed to do? It's either kill or be killed. So Detective Alcaraz thinks that Marissa pretty much orchestrated this whole thing. So then he goes into questioning Leah. And it's just like asking her questions like, well, do you think that Marissa, she seems to be a very organized person, like, or whatever. And she's not the type of person to be able to forget anything. And they asked her, like, well, did you see Marissa read the food labels? And Leah's like, well, I mean, she is human. Like, mistakes do happen. And I feel like, because they did a flashback, I feel like Leah did see Marissa look at those food labels. But because Peter was such a fucking asshole and she was tired of his shit, one, you done blame me for 30 years for injuring our brother, and that caused me to have all these fucking problems. And two, now you sitting here basically blaming me for the love of my life dying. Like, yeah, I guess she probably just turned a blind eye to the whole damn thing and was just like, well, he had coming to him, basically. He my brother, but he was old hateful ass bitch, and he had the shit coming to him. So then Detective Alcaraz goes to talk to Marissa, and he ends up basically telling Marissa everything that he thinks that has happened. And basically he kind of puts two and together and figures it all out. And so he's like, basically finally told Marissa, like, well, look, the case is closed, but I do feel like that you couldn't tell the truth about what was going on after you figured it out. And you just have to make some hard choices to make, and you made your choice. I mean, the case is closed, so we can't take Milo or anything away from you. I mean, why would they? Both his mom is Josie's dead, Kyle is dead. The only person left on that side of the family is what was her name? Irene, Josie's crazy ass, hateful ass mama. So why would you take him away from a life of privilege to go be with that crazy bitch? So it's just like, at this point, I mean, Milo is with you, and that's that. And the case is closed, and ain't nothing we can do. But I low-key know that you did this shit, and you killed Peter. You gave him the kiss of death, basically. But I mean, it ain't shit that we can't prove it. So I mean, it's over and done. And yeah, that was all her fault. Hell, they should have named the show All His Fault. Because all this was basically Peter's fault, honestly. Because you operated in a way in which you didn't want to be a parent to begin with. So you, like I said, you thought that, yeah, you thought that Marissa was dead. So why did you even do any of this? Like, but I guess it's called all her fault, because it is her fault that Peter is dead, because she gave him the kiss of death and killed him. It wasn't her fault that Milo got kidnapped to begin with. It was Peter's fault, because he switched the babies. Josie didn't know that she was crazy. No, Josie didn't know that Peter Milo was her son until she met him, and they started reminiscing about how they think Monday and Wednesdays are blue and yellow or whatever. So it was a lot of things that play in this whole situation. But overall, it was definitely a good show. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, comment, all that, subscribe, leave comments. Let me know what you think about this series. And until next time, this has been a conversation with John. Peace.